My name is Edwin Collazo, and I am the president and CEO of City Built Brewing Company, and we are in the tap room of City Built Brewing Company located at 820 Monroe in Grand Rapids, Michigan. City Built is a small local brewery that is serving Puerto Rican inspired food and beer inspired beer. The thought was to be a bridge builder, hence the bridge on our logo. We want to be connective for anyone who is willing to be connected with us, and so we just want to be a safe place for people to gather. And I think that's illustrated in signs that we have in the women's bathroom, the way we treat people in our space. I think everything that we do is to create relationship. And so our story, we've been around for 8 years. City Built was the idea of an individual who no longer works here, however, had an idea for a brewery and got it funded. And the original idea was to be a small 3-barrel, hole-in-the-wall, no food. And after kind of taking a look at what was happening in the beer industry, we decided to aim higher. So we have a 10-barrel system. We decided to do food, and then we decided to dig in deeper and do Puerto Rican inspired food. Before COVID, it was very much Puerto Rican centric. Since COVID, I would call it Sorta Rican. So we put our flavor in there as best as we can. And so you'll find some very traditional dishes, but also we take those familiar flavors to us, specifically sofrito, and we infuse that in other foods. And so, we have fantastic beer. We have some great staff, fantastic brewers, front of the house, back of the house. So we just try to create a space where people are being encouraged and having a place to grow. And we ask people to grow with us, and when they don't, then we have that conversation too. So part of relationship is, where truth and love meet perfectly. So it's not always truth and hard, and it's always love and good feels. I'll first say it's like picking your favorite kid. You can't. I'll then say my favorite beer is usually the next new beer on, mainly because it's always exciting to have new things, new flavors, new approaches to familiar, styles like IPA. My favorite project we did was Mi Gente project, just because it was so, like I said earlier, we want to be bridge builders. Like, we got to build bridges between us and 10 or 11 other breweries and share our idea on what it means to collaborate. They were the best we've had awesome collaborations over the years, but these collaborations centered around what it feels like to be in a Latin home or in a Latin community where, when you gather, you eat. When you gather, it's so much more than just sitting around a brewery taking some pictures to make it look like you're working, which is what collaborations tend to be, because not every brewer can be on the stage at once. And so everyone just kind of gets up, holds a paddle, takes a wave, whatever. But these were truly some of the more fun collaborations, because oftentimes you'd have multiple brewers showing up just because they knew we were doing it. And so just super grateful for the breweries that did do it and then did make a contribution to a Latin or Hispanic nonprofit. So as it pertains to like the beer recipes, typically we start with what the standard is and then work off of that. And so what nuance about the recipe or that style do we like, and how do we accentuate or highlight that? Typically hops, but sometimes malt as well. But your water and yeast have a huge part of the that's a factor as well. So it's kind of hard there's no real new ideas. Even when we put marshmallow and peanut butter and cocoa nibs and freaking Jolly Ranchers, I don't know, we haven't done that. But peach ring gummies. Like, everyone's doing it. There's no new ideas. And so our hope when we're developing a recipe is that it's drinkable, that it's times 2, so we want you to have 2 beers, and and that it's clean, and it's, it turns out based on what we set out to do. And the kitchen, it really is just my wife, Sweet Kay, taking what she understands about our food and understands about food, and then marrying the two. And in terms of why Puerto Rican inspired food, or why that slant, it was more about standing out, and no one else is doing that, specifically in Grand Rapids. And it was easy. At the time, my wife and I were dating then, and she was hanging out with my family and learning. I mean, she has a culinary degree and has years of experience, and had never really been introduced to or have an opportunity to mess around with sofrito, which is a mainstay in our food. And so she was learning from aunts and uncles and cousins and my sister and my dad, and so she learned from all these people and took what she understood about food and then what she learned about that, and then started playing around with it at home. And so when we decided to have food, it just made sense, because the timing was she was doing a test kitchen at home every day, not necessarily for City Built, just to play around at home. Localism, the idea that we would do business as close to home as possible, is significant for us. We spend our dollars purposefully with organizations who are doing business in Grand Rapids, who then also spend money in Grand Rapids. And so do business with companies that are keeping the dollars in our community, but also knowing that City Built does that purposefully and intentionally. So we need for people to come here on purpose, and so we try to live that way as well. I think that we impact community positively by creating spaces for people to gather. For the longest time, I did my best to try to fit in with the community, which I think I did fine. However, after having a couple experiences with some other breweries on the other side of the United States, Suave Fest specifically, I was encouraged to dig into my culture. And so now so much of what we do is sharing our culture with our community, which means City Built Block Party, and having food and music that's representative of my experience as Puerto Rican guy. Local first membership is important, I feel, because it's a community that drives business and people to our space. It's an opportunity for us to engage and learn about other local business members, business owners who are in our community. It's been good to have them as a resource over the last 8 years. Sometimes they're just shining light on a particular aspect of our day-to-day that we weren't familiar with, but also, like I said, more than anything, I think they turn people on to our business, which is great. What made me want to get involved in ForkFest was being asked. And so we had an opportunity to engage with ForkFest. Sounds like a really cool opportunity to showcase City Built, create community, which is part of what we're trying to do as a business.